Friday morning began with a Ukrainian drone attacking an oil depot in Proletarsk, Rostov Oblast, again. The long-suffering depot has been burning for 6 days now, and there is no point in putting it out. In Rostov Oblast itself, owners of oil depots and refineries have begun selling off their explosive facilities en masse after the fire in Proletarsk. Several oil depots and refineries are up for sale in different areas. In Crimea, local authorities are calling for an end to panic. There is little gasoline, get in line, sons of bitches. The Ukrainian Armed Forces are attacking bases and airfields quite effectively, depriving the Russians of fuel and ammunition. The aggressor must move on strong donkeys like Akhmet and save ammunition. This is invigorating and disturbing. Fear and anxiety, according to FOM, have gripped Russians this week. The war occupied the minds of 59% of the surveyed deep-sea dwellers, with 44% concerned about the events in Kursk Oblast. And in a number of regions close to the front, the level of anxiety has gone off the scale, especially when Putin began to lie that the Ukrainian armed forces were supposedly going to strike the Kursk nuclear power plant. Putin himself has been absent from meetings this week and has been hanging around the cave, but it could not have been Putin at all, but a group of FSO doubles. In addition, Peskov is chronically absent from the bald man, and it is unlikely that the mustachioed man could have gone on vacation at such a hot time. Rumors are circulating in Moscow that the government has begun a quiet evacuation deep into the cave, frightened by a possible forced march of the Ukrainian armed forces from Kursk to Moscow, which would have been the implementation of the idea of the late Prigozhin. Allegedly, Putin himself is already somewhere far away, and not in Novo Ogariovo. They also whisper that the plastic surgery clinic at the 9th Directorate has either already accepted, or is preparing to accept, several VIP clients. It is possible that the system will try to repeat the Nazi scheme to remove the top brass from responsibility. FSB generals are fighting under the carpet for Bortnikov's legacy and the right to saddle the remains of the system. All this is happening under a veil of secrecy, so as not to attract the attention of the average person. Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China Li Qiang, who arrived in Moscow this week, brought Mishustin a plan on how to wind up the adventure without systemic and territorial losses. According to experts, the attitude towards Putin himself may change rapidly in the near future. His orders are ignored, and the bald man himself is becoming a hostage to his own failures. Even Medvedev is not in such a desperate situation, and expects to play out the role of a white-hot man to the end, appearing before the Hague Tribunal in a straitjacket. And there is little demand for a crazy gnome. Russian ambassador to the United States Antonov reported that Putin had decided on severe punishment for the Ukrainian Armed Forces invasion of the Kursk region, emphasizing that Washington could have stopped Ukraine's actions with a snap of its fingers if it had wanted to. Now everyone will be severely punished for what happened in the Kursk region. Against the backdrop of stern warnings of retaliation, the Belgorod and Bryansk governors told Putin that there was no money for territorial defense. There was nothing and no one to fight with. They couldn't even defend themselves. And if the Ukrainian armed forces with Western weapons were to move toward Moscow now, they could reach it in 7 to 8 hours without encountering any clear resistance. Putin had fried his army in endless bloody assaults in advance. The illusion of Moscow's prosperity could collapse in an instant, like a brilliant decoration on the stage of a provincial theater. Maintaining this illusion is now the most important thing for the system. That is why internet jammers are increasingly being turned on and false agendas and news hooks are being hung up. White noise and the imitation of everyday life drape events that should remain in the shadows until the system decides what to do next. On the international stage, Modi has stepped up his activity, visiting Poland and heading to Ukraine. The diplomatic momentum to end the war is gaining momentum. The US is ready to provide Ukraine with its veteran pilots, who will be happy to get back into action and help punish the evil empire. Biden is open to negotiations on providing long-range missiles that can fly to Moscow from F-16s. In addition to intentions, The Biden administration will soon send Ukraine a new military aid package worth $125 million. It will include HIMARS ammunition, anti-tank missiles, counter-drone systems and artillery shells. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Kamala Harris is hammering nails into the coffin of Putin's hopes, accepting the nomination for the presidency and outlining a path forward, highlighting Trump's historical trait as a loser and a weird guy. They say, let him continue to rage behind the bulletproof glass of history. Harris also reiterated her support for Ukraine. The Pentagon has finally closed the topic of Ukraine using American weapons on the territory of the aggressor. Our policy allows Ukraine to return fire to defend itself against Russian attacks coming from border regions. These border regions include Kursk and Sumy regions, said Deputy Press Secretary of the Pentagon Sabrina Singh. The head of European diplomacy Borrell this week called for the lifting of all restrictions on the use of European weapons on the territory of the aggressive Kyiv. How can one not worry and not go hysterical? August has gone mad, and it is time to make a systemic decision. Yesterday was too early, tomorrow may be too late. The crisis is developing, crawling onto the system instead of little swans like a big fluffy Arctic fox.